Illusions fade, revealing more than just empty space. They uncover secrets, rage, and the looming Second Ascension. As Volke unearths letters tied to legendary arcanists, Hex's fury surges. Zaxxas revels in his own celebration, and an invisible force threatens to turn victory into chaos. But amidst the revelry and battles, power is forged. Retribution takes shape, swallowing magic like the abyss itself. Its serpentine glow marking its wielder's destiny. The Gorge calls, forcing Volke to make choices that will define his future. Potions are discarded, trust is tested, and the path to the Typhon beast demands more than just courage. It requires sacrifice.
Welcome back to the Frith Guild podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm co-host Scott.
And today we're going to have chapters 41 through 45 of Master Arcanist. Before we get into that today, we'd like to ask everybody if you could show us some love by sharing, subscribing, all that fun stuff. And also want to remind everybody that the Dragon Con nomination deadline is July 19th. So if you have not gone in to vote, please do so.
Go vote.
I want to make sure Shammy gets there. And with that, we'll get into chapters 41 through 45.
Chapter 41 is Letters to the Autarch. So all of the furniture is an illusion. It fades down. They realize that, hey, they didn't bring this fancy furniture in. Hex is going around trying to trash everything, but because it's an illusion, they're not really finding anything. Volke is the one that realizes that most illusions don't really last very long. So the fact that there still is an illusion means that the Second Ascension is probably pretty close by. So he and Eviana are going to wait for the illusions to fade, see if they can figure anything out. And when the illusions do fade, it's kind of pathetic. All the beds go from these nice mattresses to sleeping mats. It's like a wooden chair instead of a throne. And they are also able to find hidden letters. There's one about somebody becoming a Charitas arcanist, and it always refers to the fact that they don't have to go through the Trial of Worth, so all of these very strong mystical creatures are now going to be bonded to unworthy individuals. They do find one letter that mentions the Sky Titan Arcanist, and they do find a letter that's written to the Autarch himself. They learn that his name's Cain Helveti. The letter's from the Sky Titan Arcanist, and it also mentions being close with Akiva, and we do figure out that it is Orwin, who is the Kirin Arcanist from the excavations. As Volke is reading through this letter, Eviana realizes she recognizes the Autarch's name, and he's actually a famous apothecary from a village that she's aware of.
I'm curious if this was mentioned back in, I guess it would be Colosseum. I think the apothecary was mentioned, or another apothecary was mentioned, not necessarily Cain Helveti. I don't think his name was specifically put in there, but
yeah, it sounds like there's apothecaries all over. But the fact that she knows him, he must be doing something right.
And in chapter 42, A Hunter's Celebration, we all know that Hexa means well, but is way too close to this and way too manic to be able to make any kind of solid decisions. I 100% agree with her and how she's reacting and all of that. She wants to just get to the next step so that she can get Vethika back. 100% agree. We need to let the people work and do their thing so that she can find them, or we can find her. As we're getting back into Regal Heights, they have all of these banners and streamers and wolf lanterns and everything else set up. And all of a sudden, we have this realization, at least with everybody in Regal Heights, of the Fenris Wolf Arcanist has bonded. And even though we've been saying this, and Zaxxas has been walking around without a shirt on with his giant god mark displayed for everybody to see, but now all of a sudden it's this big, okay, we need to have this huge party for him, and the word has officially gotten to us. Honest to God, with Zaxxas getting his own bonding party like Volke got for his birthday, I don't know how Zaxxas' head will even fit into the gorge at this point.
He's so excited. He's like, I deserve this. Volke got it, therefore I should get it.
Like, he's walking around with his chest puffed out and even more of his swag going on. Volke takes a break from the party. He's looking up some information on the Sky Titan, and he realizes that this creature is made of air and is invisible. How the hell do you defeat air?
That's a good question.
Like, obviously it was defeated, or the Apoc Dragon got it the last time, but how? Also, I want to mention that Regal Heights is like the place to go if you want to party and have a rave, because they got the war drums going, like the basses going off the hook, everybody's partying,
It's a block party.
having a good time. It'd be one hell of a party. Kind of ventures away from it, goes to find Terrakana and the rest of the Frith Guild that he was apprentices with. Addie actually happens to come out of nowhere and was like, oh, hey, I wanted to talk to you real quick because I feel like everybody's trying to avoid me right now. I mean, you kind of did that to everybody else, so... Now, I don't want to be like too rude, but yes, she's been so consumed by trying to figure out her true form abilities or how to get to her true form that she secluded herself, and everybody else is pretty much just like, yeah, I don't know, you're just kind of on your own program now. Some things got brought up at some point, so Volke... Eddie wants to have a serious conversation with Volke for a little bit, just to talk about true forms and all that. They step off to the side and away from the noise. They end up coming across Zelfrey and Linus that are just chilling on the edge of the gorge like it's nothing. And Linus is like, Addie, you want to get a true form Phoenix? Yeah, that's not going to happen because you're just sitting there studying all this time. But in order to become a true form Arcanist, you have to rebuild from the ashes. You have to basically fall so far and then build yourself back up to be able to become a true form. And she just kind of like, well, you don't... No, that's not it. He's like, but I met somebody.
Also, I thought this as well. I was like, I don't know if it's just the lore is different in Frith Guild, but like the main thing about phoenixes was like they rise from the ashes. So I was always like, I feel like she should be doing something like centered around that, not around studying. But I was like, maybe it's just different in this world.
That's a good point, because we don't really see a rebirth of phoenixes like we would in literally any other series. And by no means am I saying that as a bad thing for phoenixes or for this world, but I'm looking up. Okay, so they're born from eggs. So yeah, there's really no
reincarnation piece to it.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
That makes a lot more sense that she wouldn't understand, or she wouldn't have thought about that, because that doesn't exist.
The more you know.
Tip my hat to you, good sir, for catching that.
It just always confused me because I was like, why doesn't she think this? Like, that's the first thing I thought of. She wouldn't. That brings us to chapter 43 of Father's Honor. So Volke is like trying to awkwardly tell Addie that he and Eviana are a couple. Addie won't listen to him and kind of just ignores it, and finally he's like, no, like, my betrothed Eviana. And it seems like she finally picks up on it at that point, and then proceeds to follow up with, well, you look pretty good with your shirt open. They're wandering the streets, and people are literally sleeping in the streets after the party. They're preparing for another day of partying. Hexa didn't end up partying at all because of being sad. So she's just with her family trying to figure out next steps with Thethika. We do find Jose, and he spent the night working instead of partying, so major props to that work ethic. Was able to finish the potion and ends up giving it to Volke, who then throws it into the gorge. They then decide that they're going to imbue a Typhon beast bone, and there's this cool moment where Volke can't really focus. He's kind of thinking about the wrong things, and Jose is just like, yo, you're doing it wrong. Like, I can just tell you're doing it wrong. Volke's able to refocus a little and does end up making this very cool, like, heat sword.
He has this, like, he has that tell face in poker. He'd be a horrible poker player. It picks him up immediately into chapter 44, Retribution, a sword with no equal. And I'm sorry, Scott, this was one of those times where I was reading through and I'm like, oh, he's going to get the cool chapter with the sword. And then it worked out, but... So Volke begins to put more magic into Retribution. We are putting 15 additional star shards into this sword. So we've already got 10 star shards in Retribution. He's got Nightmare Magic, and he's got APOC Bone as the base. So, in order for him to imbue his World Serpent power, rather than trying to choose Destruction or...
Creation.
Thank you. Destruction or Creation. Same with Aura. Jose says basically you just need to focus on the entirety of your power for the World Serpent, and that all that magic is something you can't get for the sword to take that. And Volke is just pushing magic out into these star shards. They're melting into the sword, and literally as pushes the last of his magic out, it is finished. The sword has taken it all, has used up all of the star shards, and I kind of feel like this is that time where you get the Master Sword from the Korra Kors in Breath of the Wild, and you have exactly 13 hearts available. So you end with a quarter heart left, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Now, the description of Retribution is just absolutely chef's kiss again, Shamey. Before the additional imbuing, we had a shadowy black sword with Retribution engraved into it, Jose's trademark. Now, it is described as being the color of a depthless void of space with thousands of stars marking the center and jade sparks glowing from the hilt to the tip in the constellation of a snake.
It's magical.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Jose isn't really sure whether he should be proud or should be terrified about this sword because of the sheer chaos, I guess is the best way to put it, this blade emits. And honestly, in my headcanon, this blade is just crackling with shadows, like it was like lightning, except it's shadows and darkness. And not only does it just cut magic like butter, but it also saps the magic away from whomever it cuts too. So not only do you get physically wounded, but your magical ability gets taken away to an extent from this as well.
Absolutely deadly.
Like, my gosh. This thing is amazing.
That brings us to chapter 45, Taking Responsibility. They attune the blade to Volke and end up his bloodline attuning it, which means that Jose can touch it, he can still work with the sword. Volke could then pass it on to his children if he wanted, and they could touch it. But anybody outside of that, and they're going to get hit with a nice big spark of magic, it is not going to feel good. Volke ends up imbuing some more bones. He ends up breaking one, trying to put too much magic in it, not being able to focus right. He's working through the night, essentially trying to get back to the right sleep schedule with the party going on. It's raging at second day. He's like, I gotta make it to bedtime. Eventide has decided that they need to get the Typhon beast out of the lair. They're going to need a path down. They're not exactly the most mobile of creatures. It is a hydra with little stumpy legs, so it's going to need something to get out. The first one couldn't get out, which was why it died, so Volke decides, hey, I'm going to make some stairs. I really like the pillar. My stairs are going to be the pillar.
Okay, fair enough.
Pretty cool. We do also get some eavesdropping on Callisto and Zelfrey, who are sitting on the edge of the gorge. Zelfrey offers the potion. He offers to leave the Frith Guild. Callisto doesn't want either one. He's essentially decided to kind of accept his fate at this point. And there is this moment where Zelfrey tells him, like, I believe in you, even if no one else does, which I think means a lot and is definitely a moment that I appreciated between the two of them. They then end up throwing the potion over the gorge as well, so now both halves are in the potion, and if I'm Jose, who didn't want to make this thing in the first place, I would be so upset.
I wonder if there was something at the bottom of the gorge as it like lands on it, and then it just forgets exactly like it.
It forgets everything, and I just picture the cartoon like they throw it over the same creatures going by again and gets hit by the second potion going through. Volke is heading back to his room and ends up Eviana waiting for him there again. So he shares his findings with her and kind of talks with her about this idea to make the stairs reflective.
With that ends chapter 45 and this week's section of chapters. We don't have any new mystical creatures we can really go over this week, so we won't go over that. Again, with the whole pillar concept, making the stairs, I love it. Volke is like, I'm going to share this knowledge with everybody. Every arcanist will know these steps. Like he had to, and it won't be some bullshit where the last two steps are eroded and not known, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, you don't know. With that, though, we'll end this week's chapters, and we'll catch you guys in 46 through 50 of Master Arcanist. We are getting fairly close to the end of this book now that we're looking at it, and we've got one book left in the Frith Chronicles series after that, and then we're done.
Wild.
Oh my goodness. We've been doing this since November of 23?
I think so. It's over a year, so it's got to be 23.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of strange to conclude it when we get there. So anyways, I hope you have a good week.